Hello, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and this is a video tutorial for the new Boston. Now, continuing from our previous example, we've looked at withdrawing a specific amount from our bank account class in our bank account property. So we've got our balance set to 10.5. Now in this example we're going to be depositing money into our account. So let's go ahead and set this back to 0. And let's go down and we'll slightly modify this. I'm going to put a break here just so it looks a bit better. And if you haven't watched the previous tutorials, go back and watch them, because we do this we're learning basically object-oriented programming by example. So the example is a bank account class where we can assign a new bank account to a variable, and we can do things like withdraw, deposit money and things like that. So let's get rid of this withdraw line and let's start to create a new method that's going to allow us to deposit money in. So public function deposit, and in here we can just call the amount, the variable amount once again. Now there's no real limit we need to check on this, because you know the person's free to deposit as much money as they want into their bank account generally. So all we need to do here is say this balance, remember, and then we need to say equals this balance plus amount. So we're starting balance out with 0, so our balance is 0. With this deposit method, we're taking in an amount with an argument here, and we're adding it to our current balance. So let's go down and check that this works. So we're displaying our balance here, and we are updating our balance in here. So again, we use Alex, and then we say deposit, and we can deposit an amount. So I'm going to deposit, let's say, £1,000 into my bank account. So I'm depositing 1,000, and then I'm displaying my balance. So let's get rid of this line first of all and see what we're left with. So balance 0. So now let's come into our code and uncomment this. So now we're depositing £1,000, and our balance now changes to 1,000. So now what happens if we want to deposit £1,000 and then we want to say withdraw 200 and something? So we can say withdraw 245, for example. So you can already see that this is such an easy way, once you've got your correct structure set up, to do specific things with your class. So we're modifying the property values. So let's come in and refresh. You can see it's changed to 755. So we've taken 245 off of the balance. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be creating a new instance of this bank account class, but in another variable name, and this is going to allow us to have individual values for each class that we initiate, if you like. So let's go ahead and get rid of this first of all, and get rid of this so we can write it out in a moment. So Alex equals new bank account. So what happens if I want to say Billy equals new bank account? Well, let's go ahead to our page and refresh and test our code. You can see that no error has appeared. So what we're essentially allowed to do is set two different variables with using the same class. So we're using the same values, but for two different. Well, we're using two different classes for two different users, and this allows us to have unique property values for each time we initiate it. So Alex will have his own balance and Billy will have his own balance. So let's go ahead and test this out. So I'm going to say Alex deposit, and we're going to deposit, say, £100 into our bank account. Now I'm going to say Billy deposit, and Billy might deposit, say, I don't know, £14 or £15 into his bank account. Now what we need to establish is whether these two values now change. We've only declared one balance up here, but because we're using two instances of this class, the values can be unique to each user. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, this next stage will demonstrate it. So let's go ahead and refresh and see if everything's okay. Yep, everything seems okay. So let's echo out Alex display balance. And remember, this is a method, so we are using our parentheses at the end. So let's echo out Alex display balance. Okay, so balance 100. So I've deposited £100 into my bank account using this deposit method, and my balance is displayed as 100. So now what happens if we say Billy and change this? Well, you can see that the balance is only 15. So you can see that even though we've only got one class called bank account, we're able to use it for different users. So let's just echo out both, so we can see this. So now we're going to echo Billy display balance. So we've got two different balances, £100 and £15. This corresponds to Alex and Billy. So you can see that we have two different values, two different property values, so balance is different for both users even though we've only got one class. So you can really start to see how this can be useful in shortening the amount of code that you're going to have to write when you use object-oriented programming in PHP. So let's go ahead and just add a few more things in here. So I'm going to say Alex deposit 100, Billy deposit 15. Now down here I'm going to say Alex withdraw 150, which is not going to let us. And then I'm going to say Billy withdraw, and I'm going to say we'll just say 250 for example. So let's go back to our page, refresh. So we've got a not enough money come up for Alex, but the balance for Billy here has been changed. I know this looks a bit odd at the moment. I haven't structured it out with regards to output very well, but you can see how this value has changed for Billy, but the value is not changed for Alex because there's not enough money, and we've been given that error message through the method up here when we don't have enough money in our account. So let's just go ahead and change this to something like 98. And when we refresh, you see that the balances change again. We've got 2 for Alex now because we've withdrawn £98 out of £100, and 12.5 for Billy because we've withdrawn £2.50 from our original balance of £15.